Have you considered making changes to your RV?
What about a total renovation?
Are you happy with the way your RV's layout serves you, or do you just sit up at night thinking about making changes?
This week on the StressLess Camping RV podcast, we speak with Alice from Rain2Shine Ventures, who helps campers do anything from some remote consulting to a complete renovation.
She has some incredible projects to share, and we ask just what does it take to make these things happen?
We also have a keto-friendly version of Jimmy Buffett's 8th Deadly Sin. And we're seeing what are you doing about those unruly campers you find at the campgrounds.
Hey, welcome to the campfire.
I'm Tony.
I'm Peggy.
And we're two RV industry veterans who travel part-time.
With or without our small trailer.
Isn't that the truth? We're looking to share big adventures and help you with great tips,
tricks,
and discounts.
Sometimes we travel even without the trailer.
Which is what we're about to do this weekend.
We are. And we wanted to remind you, or tell you, I guess, remind you that we have one page of the website called the Journey Journal. Our Journey Journal tells you, well, basically when we're on the road, we try, I don't succeed completely, but we try to every day or every 3 or 4 days, if it's really a rough week, we just sit down and write about what we did that day, where we were, where we are, where we're camping or not. Yeah. And sometimes, even when we're not on the road, we think of things that are going on here at the house, and we're like, we want to talk about this. Yeah, I can think of a whole lot of words to talk about this. And then the fun part, of course, is figuring out how that relates to stressless camping, right? Because you don't want to know what we're doing if it's not about camping.
Well, oddly enough, this past week, this is completely unrelated to camping, with the exception that we took the flated air topper off the back of our truck. So there's that. But while we've been gone a lot this year, as you may know if you follow. It's been exceptionally rainy and great growing weather here in New Mexico, which is where our home base is.
The weeds are so happy.
It's also a bumper crop for hatch green chilies. So double thumbs up on that. But it's also a bumper crop for tumbleweeds
and all kinds of weeds.
We have grown, like it's become like hard to get in the driveway. There's so many. Now,
also, you could relate that story to the fact that we're not home enough to mitigate those tumbleweeds.
That's true.
But anyway, Tony did write a blog post about how we're mitigating and how much fun we're having trying to get rid of those tumbleweeds while we're not traveling.
Yeah, the highlight, which is going to sound like the oddest thing ever, the highlight is I went to the dump and I liked it.
Yay.
That's fun. Anyway, so there you go.
And I'm going to make this, if I say it out loud, then it has to happen. I am cooking up a little journal about cooking while we're at home. And because I'm learning how to cook things that are easy to cook while we're camping.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't written that one yet. And oftentimes we say, you can find blah, blah, blah on our website, knowing fully well it's not there when we say it, but it will be there when you hear it.
Well, yeah.
And this is a busy week, so...
Boy,
I've just made the commitment, so I got to get that done.
Okay. Something to know, we always have, if you follow our podcast, you can get it on our website at stresslesscamping.com. And then there's a podcast section, and we always put show notes and a transcript there.
Sure.
If you are one of the people who follows us on YouTube, we put a link at the bottom of that video that takes you to the transcript and the notes on our website.
On the website.
So either way, if you have any interest in, like, let's say we mention something, or there's a recipe, or we go to the dump, you can go and find it in those show notes. There'll be a direct link to whatever we blab on about.
Right.
Something we blab on about often is our friends at ABC Upfitters. And we've had more than a few people say, well, I only drive a van, or I have a small trailer, or
I don't need that much power.
Right. So these all Master Volt systems that ABC Upfitters installs are surprisingly compact considering the amount of power that they deliver.
Yeah.
And we've seen some incredible systems that they've put into Class B RVs, which are vans.
Right.
We also have a friend with a smaller travel trailer. He's gotten a system, and it just works. And one of the neat things is he's also upgraded his system.
Yes, just very recently he got more. He was going to get one more solar panel, and then he said, "Oh, but if I get a new, what is it, controller, then I can have 3 new solar panels."
Right. So yeah, so it's
so
nice.
it's almost like piecemeal or a la carte, right? And you can do the size and of what you need for your needs.
Well, right. So the way it works when you work with ABC Upfitters is they talk to you about how you camp, the kind of rig you have, what your expectations are, and they work with you to within those parameters to build a system that works for that. Mm-hmm. So if that sounds like a good company to deal with, and we found that it really has been, give them a call at 574-333-3225.
That's 574-333-3225.
Yeah, they're just good people to talk to, and they can translate from nerd to normal. So I really like their systems because they just work.
Yeah. We need to write it down that also they have a pretty good new website.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, a pretty new good website. And so we should remind you that there is a website also for ABC Upfitters.
Which is linked in our show notes.
Yes.
So there you go.
So let's say you're thinking about putting some solar, but you're thinking that you want to make some changes to your RV first. Maybe you want to take out that, I don't know, dinette and put in a something so you have room for your batteries inside. Lots of things, right? Lots of reasons why you might want to make changes.
Like change the colors.
Change the colors, or change the furniture, or change from an empty van to an RV.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this week we are speaking to Alice Zealy, and she owns Rain2Shine Ventures. And these are all the things that she does.
Yeah, we were looking at her website, and just it's beautiful work. So without any further ado,
let's talk to Alice. Today we're very excited to welcome Alice Zealy with Rain2Shine Ventures. Alice, thank you for hanging out with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, for the audience, what in the heck is Rain2Shine Ventures?
So my company is based off of my sister and I's nicknames, but we basically do RV renovations. So my nickname was Rainbow and she was Sunshine, and that's where the Rain2Shine comes from.
I like it.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Now, how in the world did you decide I want to renovate RVs?
Well, I didn't really decide that I wanted to do this per se for clients or as a job at first, although I do absolutely love what I do. It all started with my own camper. Went through, some life changes and just decided I didn't want the big house and all the cleaning and all the stuff anymore. Always loved to travel and liked the idea of a much simpler life with a lot less clutter. So I bought a fifth wheel back in, I guess it was early 2020, and took it on as my own project to turn it into my own tiny home on wheels, and shared it to social media for friends and family to see. And pretty soon people were like, "Hey, do you want to do mine?" So I said, "Okay, let's try that."
Nice.
Did you have construction or building experience, or was this just, I'm just going to do it and see what happens?
Not so much the construction side of things, but I did go to school for architecture and interior design.
Okay.
So I had that background, and then I also grew up, my dad was in property management, and he was Mr. Fix-It, a handyman, all that good stuff. So it's not that I didn't have any construction experience, I just hadn't really used it in my professional life.
Okay, nothing
Oh,
formal.
yeah. I mean, being around that kind of environment, I could see you definitely know which end of the hammer is the hurting side.
Yes, and I have a very mechanical mind, so it just kind of works for me. It's pretty easy.
Great.
So coming out of, I guess real property, when you started to go into and work on your RV, were there any surprises where it's like, oh my gosh, look at how this is made?
My camper's a little bit older, so it's made pretty well. It's, real wood cabinetry, aluminum body, real construction, not, per se what they're doing these days with staples and nails and Luan. So that part wasn't shocking. I think the biggest challenge in any RV is working around the systems because you're in such a small space. And so you've got, your furnace and your water heater and all the tubing and venting and all that stuff that you just have to kind of work around. And being in a small space is a little different than working in a sticks and bricks.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Oh, I thought we have notes, and I'm like, I've been asking all the questions. So.
Your turn.
So when you got your RV, your fifth wheel, and you found some things, you got behind the cabinets and found out how things were working. But was it more of a, was it more of just a redecoration, or did you really have to dig into that first one and do a lot of sort of construction like stuff?
It was kind of half and half. I did do a lot of construction, but when I bought it, a lot of the furniture had already been removed. So I bought it from a guy that lives about 30 minutes from here in North Carolina, and he had been living in it, had started his own renovation of sorts, but even the paint, he never sanded or primed or any of that stuff. So that was all scrap from the get-go. I did have to remove the entire entertainment center that, is built into one of the slides, remove that, and then built out our kitchen sink. So we had one of those L-shaped kind of kitchen sinks and took the old sink out and built it out at an angle to put in a big farmhouse sink.
Nice.
Yeah, there was a lot of different things. I mean, I tiled our bathroom floor, tiled the backsplash in the bathroom and the kitchen. But it wasn't as much construction as I've done since then. Basically it was building a few things here and there, and then buying some cute furniture.
So did that man find that he thought he was going to do the job and then just realized it was bigger than he could handle and kind of gave up?
I think so.
Yeah.
He wasn't in it to make it pretty, like what I like to do.
Right.
I think it was more functional. He was separated from his wife, and they had a kid, and he wanted to build bunks in the place, and he couldn't figure out where he was going to build the bunks. And like I said, like half of the kitchen was white, and then the other half was still brown when I bought it from him. He just got tired and stopped. I don't even know what happened, but I think he just. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I feel like that's common that people they're like, they buy something, maybe an older RV, and they're like, oh, I'm going to renovate this. All I have to do is slap on some paint. And then they start to find out how much bigger it is. Do you get a lot of customers that like thought they could start on their own, and then you have to help them kind of pick up where they had to leave off?
Yes. I mean, I've had a few. Most of my clients don't really even have the time to start one. But I have had many people reach out to me through consulting services that I offer, that they've started a paint job in an RV, and they're like, we're 2 weeks into this and we are just dying and we're mad at the world, and this is just such a pain in the butt. It's so much more work than we thought it was going to be. And I'm like, it's the biggest job I do in any RV renovation. I mean, that's what it is. It's a lot of prep. It's very different than painting in a home, a sticks and bricks home. And so, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it makes the biggest difference in any renovation.
Sure.
So that's, I guess, I didn't put this in the notes, but that's something I think we should talk about. Tell us about the kinds of things that you do, the types of services that Rain2Shine offers. Sure.
So, I mean, obviously our main service is going to be renovating the RVs. I do van builds as well. So I've actually written articles on like what's better, campers versus vans, and why the cost is different and why the builds are so different, because you've got a van that's a metal shell with nothing there to start with, versus a camper where you've got electrical, you've got plumbing, you're basically doing anything from a facelift to a full gut, but you still already have those systems in place, right? Mm-hmm. So
That's
those
true.
are our two main services. You know, we do the van builds and the camper renovations, and we do variations, you know, from a facelift to gut job to in between is what I call it. And that's what most of my clients typically prefer. It's, you know, not rebuilding your whole camper, but, you know, reworking some of the layout. And then I do offer some consulting services, you know, as best I can, you know, from here to, say, California or wherever. I mean, I have people in Canada and international people that reach out to me, and, you know, they just want advice. And I do write a lot of articles for my own blog, for RV Inspiration, for a lot of different magazines and blogs on DIY, just because it is such a big thing right now, especially with RVs, and people need help, you know. So I do try to offer, you know, guidance for free through the blog and other resources. But if you need serious help, just reach out to me.
Well, having owned a lot of classic cars, I know sometimes you can buy something and it's like a kit, because somebody was like, "Oh, I'm gonna rebuild this whole car," and then the next thing you know is it's nothing but boxes and boxes of parts in the garage, and it's been there for years. And finally, your wife is like, "Dude, are you ever gonna fix that?" Not that I have any firsthand experience with that.
No, not at all.
Yes, that does happen. It does.
Yeah.
And my partner, we own separate businesses, but we work out of the same workshop. And he worked in NASCAR for 30 years and as an air engineer in many different fields of that sport. And he now builds custom hot rods from the ground up. And so
nice.
we share a workshop. And so we do play off of each other. You know, I don't give him any advice on cars, because that's not no, don't ask me about that. But he's kind of a jack of all trades. So he does give me some guidance from time to time when needed. And then he has 3 or 4 fabricators and engineers that work for him. So, if it comes to like metal fabrication or building anything, that's what I tell my clients. I'm like, if it's in the realm of possibility, if the space is there, we could probably build it somehow, some way.
Yeah, that's nice to have that sort of staff on hand available.
Absolutely. I've got some subcontractors just in case.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's great.
What kind of creative things have you passed over to your partner's team?
Well, you know, they're all pretty familiar with owning their own RVs, and not to the level of renovating them that I've done, but they've all worked with me on one, if not more projects, especially in those like last few weeks of just trying to get it done. The client's ready to have it, and okay, guys, all hands on deck. Because, you know, typically I'm doing 95% of the work myself, but it is nice to have those guys. I don't know that I would say I've given them any creative guidance, especially in the car realm of things. But they've learned some stuff from me when it comes to the renovations. You know, stair edge trim, molding, things like that. That's the kind of things I utilize them for. And so just kind of explaining my standards of how this needs to look. You know, like, we got to get this right. It's got to be painted. It's got to be this, you know, whatever. And they all seem to really like what I put out. So hopefully that's some inspiration.
Yeah.
So when someone comes to you, how much input typically, and I know this can go all over the board, but is what your clients say, "Oh, I want, you know, the desk over here," or whatever, and how much is you, with your experience and background, saying, you know, you want to accomplish this, here's how I would do it?
So it really depends on the client. Basically, I've had clients that have given me complete full reign. They like what I do. They love what they see, and they say, just do what you do, you know? And then I have other clients that are very particular, and both of them I understand both sides. You know, especially when it comes to lifestyle, if they're remote workers, if they need that kind of space in their camper. I've never had anybody like tell me what layout they want, because typically they don't have a clue.
Right.
especially when you're working around those systems. So they tell me what they want in terms of that kind of space, and then I draw the layout for them, and they can either approve it or not. They typically approve it and love it. And so, yeah, it kind of varies. You know, some clients I offer, you know, options, like 3 different kinds of sinks, you know, all that fit in their space, or lighting, or whatever it may be, paint, tile, whatnot. But some of them give us free reign. So, you know, either way, it's fun. I like working with clients, and I also like to have complete creative freedom. So I get a little bit of both worlds. It's great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And so we've talked in terms of RV or van build out into an RV. I've kind of 2 questions. I'm not sure which way to go first.
Okay.
The van conversions, you'll take an empty van and turn it fully into like an RV. Have you ever done anything with like a box trailer or a cargo trailer and done something like that?
I have not, but that's not something I'm afraid of. I mean, I think once you've done the van, I mean, vans have curves, you know, so it's that much more complicated. Framing out a van, getting the panels to curve with the walls of the van, all that good stuff. A box trailer sounds great after that. I'm going to be honest with you.
There's a huge community of people who like cargo trailer or box trailer conversions. You may or may not be talking to one of them. And it's been kind of my idea to make my own trailer, and I even have plans drawn. However, 2 things. I have to read the instruction manual to get to know which side of the screwdriver to hold. And my patience and skill level are both a challenge to doing that type of a project.
I'm going to add a third thing. He doesn't like to read, so he doesn't read instructions. So how does he figure out how to use the screwdriver?
Man, it's against the man code. I read the instructions on something once.
What? Just the one.
Yeah.
So the other direction I was going to go was, you've done full RVs and you've done RV renovations. Have you, I know you have, I know the answer to this, but you have also done renovations where you've turned an RV into not necessarily an RV, more of a workspace or something.
Right. So instead of it being a tiny home on wheels for recreational use or a full-time family, we have done for a nonprofit where we did a dog transport rescue vehicle, which was great because I have 2 rescues of my own. I worked with foster groups for years. I've actually participated with the transports, so I know how bad things can be. I've seen dogs go into labor during transport, and you just got kennels stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
So when they brought me their C-Class, I was really excited about it because I was like, okay, I've seen this firsthand. I know what I would want it to look like if it was mine, basically. And so we really turned that into, a haven basically for the rescue and for the transport. But also what I kept in mind the whole time I was doing that project was, I want this to be somewhere that they could even hold an adoption fair, where, they can pull up with their rescue dogs and people can walk in and it feel like, a nice, it had light pastel walls and dog footprints on the, over the backsplash, and just made it look, very presentable and very pretty. And, also the dogs, I hope, appreciate it. So.
Well, if their tails are wagging, they're out there bragging.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that.
Use that as a slogan.
Because I was trying to figure out the whole layout, and I think maybe what was a bathroom and a shower is now a dog washing tub. And
right.
So it's really nice.
Thank you. That was one thing that they did. They said, we want to get rid of the shower and tub and that whole area. And I kind of took a step back and I went, well, I've seen some stuff. You're probably going to want somewhere to wash the dogs just in case. And then I found that dog washing bath, and I was like, this is so much better. Let's get rid of the whole setup over here, the shower, everything. And we're going to put in this cool, it's basically a grooming station, a full dog bath.
That's nice,
so that was fun.
That's pretty darn cool.
Thanks.
So what is like the time frame? How long does it typically take? And I realize that can vary a lot based on what type of thing you're doing. But
Sure.
if I'm a person with an RV, how much time do you think might take to do stuff? And again, based on what I need done.
Sure. So obviously, it's going to be based on the scope of work that the client asked for, the size, and the state that it's in. So if it's a bunch of repairs that need to be done before we can even start the renovation, that's obviously added time.
Yeah.
But all that aside, typically, a facelift, which is, paint, flooring, not really changing the layout, takes about three months. The in-between, I'd say, takes about 6 months, and then a full gut rebuild, 9+ months. And on the other side with vans are, I would say, a very basic van build can take probably 6 months at the least, and then over a year. I mean, I've seen a lot of companies that it's a year build for a van. That typically doesn't happen here. We've never taken that long to do one. Even our most extensive van, we took, I think, about 9 months to do. But just very different things. So yeah.
I could see with your partner's business doing hot rods and such, take a van, put a blower on it, a little bit of nitro. There you go. So not only is it like a cool RV, but it's a quick one.
Right. Oh, it's funny
RV
you say
hot
that
rod.
because we both bought vintage Winnebagos, mini Winnies, and I think mine's a 73 and his is a 74, or vice versa. I can't remember. So the idea is that he's going to turn his into one for his business to roll around with his, brand and logo and everything on it. And
Neat.
mine's going to be Rain2Shine, and we're also going to use it for like short weekend getaways and whatnot. Of course, they're both personal projects, so they're very slow going in between clients, but it's funny how different his image, his vision for his camper is versus, I want mine like somewhat pretty and, interior designish, whatever. And he's like, let's chrome the outside and mirror polish everything. I'm like, oh, good Lord.
Oh, I look forward to seeing those.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
There was someone who hot rodded a Winnebago, now that you mention it. And I'm trying to think. I saw, I think, a TikTok video of them on a drag strip. And, like, even with the duals in the back, they're burning rubber with that thing. It was nuts.
Yeah. Those things, I mean, it's so funny. I bought that. It's been almost 2 years since I bought it. And we've done some work on it, but it doesn't have a roof on it right now.
Oh, man.
It's the whole thing. Yeah. It's in need of a lot of repairs and whatnot. But, I had it sitting out front of our shop, and his as well. And without even touching it, I can't tell you, like once a week somebody would stop by and offer to buy those things.
Yeah.
They love them, especially being in North Carolina and racing country. It's such a great vehicle for those kinds of people because it can pull anything too.
Oh,
so they can tow anything behind it. I mean, they're very sought after in this region for some reason.
I believe, depending on which one it is, it's got a Chrysler 440 in it, and those things, man, that's a bulletproof engine. You can hot rod the heck out of it.
And then you go and camp on the infield and party on the roof while you watch the racing.
Absolutely.
We'll be in Talladega, and I don't know, 6 weeks. It's October something.
Okay.
Yep.
October cannot be 6 weeks from now.
It's October 5th. October 5th is Talladega, so we'll be in the infield for that. Yeah.
All right.
Of all these things that you do, what is the best? What do you love to do the most? Is it, tearing out a dinette and putting in a different table, or is it picking colors, or what is the best part?
I think the best part is the end when it all comes together. I mean, honestly, I always have a vision from the get-go. And it does come, each RV I've done has been totally different. Sometimes I pick the tile first and then go have the paint match one of the, shades of the tile. Sometimes I pick the wallpaper first and then have the paint match to that. And sometimes I just pick the paint and hope for the best. So, it's one of those things. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, but, I am a very visual person and I have this vision, but at the same time, not everything that I envision is out there. So I might see a wallpaper in my head, but then I can never find that wallpaper. So until, I start producing wallpaper, it's just kind of one of those things where it all just has to come together at the end. And that is by far the best part of any renovation. Oh, well, I should say seeing the client's face after it's come together is the best part.
There you go.
Yeah, especially, I mean, no matter how you describe it and even show illustrations, nothing's like being in the space and like, wow, this is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, your website has some, I really like the way you've done it because you have the walkthrough videos, but you also have a list of products and tools that you use to put this together. And I was really impressed looking at all of that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That kind of came about because I was in a bunch of Facebook groups, RV Facebook groups, and I was sharing some of the work, as I was getting started with having clients. And that was the thing that I'd get, 100 to 500 people ask me, where'd you get that rug? Where'd you get that wallpaper? How did you do this? Whatever. And I just went, I can't answer. I mean, I want to answer everybody, but I can't answer 500 people. So I just started putting it on the website, and then I just say, hey, it's on my website. You can find it under this camper, under, at the bottom of the photos, and just there's the link. It's all yours. Take it.
That's great. I know some people even ask, like, you put something on a command hook, and they're like, oh, how do you buy that? And I'm like,
it's a
you've never bought a command hook? Come on. Some people want everything done for them.
It's absolutely true. Yes, I would have to agree.
And your website also says you do custom furniture and small space organization.
Mm-hmm. So we haven't really, other than doing it while we're doing a renovation, we've, obviously with the vans, we have built slide-out benches, slide-out beds, and we have this actually came about because I was trying to find one to buy, and I couldn't find one anywhere, where you go on YouTube and you see how to build out of wood these slat benches, basically, that come together and then they expand, not a futon, just a slat bench. And I was just trying to find one to buy to save some time. Could not find one anywhere. I did find one on Pier 1. I ordered it. 6 months later, it still hadn't arrived. So we built one out of steel is what we did. We put it on wheels and built it out of steel. That was my very first van. And so, I've built custom furniture and customized the RVs. Like even my last camper, we put a washer in it. It's a dorm style washer. They didn't need a dryer. I was like, you guys are going to have to hang your clothes out on the line, but it'll be okay. But we built a custom cabinet for that, and it's a lift top because the washer's top loading. And the entry wall, there was a stink pipe on the back side of the bathroom, and without moving it, which we could have, but that really wasn't in their budget, I just built this it looks like a little chimenea, basically, around the stink pipe to, make it look like it was intentional.
Nice.
It's a great idea.
So we definitely have the ability to custom build. It's not something that I want to like mass produce things or anything like that. It's more so like, hey, if you really need this or we're doing a renovation for you, we'll build you something. And then I've had people come to me that either want like staging to sell their own campers or help with organization, all those things. And having lived in a camper for 4 years and still not filling up all of my storage space, I think I'm getting pretty decent at that organizing thing.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we could hire her for that. Because if there's a square inch of storage space,
we fill it.
We're filling it.
Yep. And most people do,
We just came back from Indiana, and we had to leave our trailer up there. Well, we didn't have to, but we chose to leave it up there. And the volume of stuff in our truck, it still astounds me. And I couldn't look out the back window. So.
Well, in our defense, or my defense, we plan to do some tent camping while the trailer's in storage. And so things that we need that we don't have two of, like sleeping bags and, whatever, we had to pack all that out of the trailer and bring it with us. And then we'll have to take it all back and put it back in the trailer. So the truck wouldn't be nearly as full if you just let me buy 3 of everything.
Exactly. I hear you.
Well, or if I didn't put a refrigerator in the back seat.
Well, there's that.
So if someone is coming to you and they're like, "Ooh, I see a 1972 Aristocrat on the internet and it's for sale, and I think I want to buy it, but it needs a lot of work." What kind of advice would you give them other than run?
Inspection. Please, inspection. Have a certified inspector look at it with the 6-page checklist or whatever it is that they have, and let me see that when it's complete. And then I can sort of kind of tell you. I mean, I can only ballpark you without putting my own hands on it and seeing it in person. But, yeah, there are times that I've said run. And in fact, with my dog rescue clients, when I did demo on their camper, we basically rebuilt their entire camper. There was like a couple things that were original when we got done. I called them after I did demo and I said, "Okay, guys, I don't know how far you want to take this, but this is going to be a lot. And I'm happy to help you find another used camper that's in better shape. But for whatever reason, I think somebody had given them this camper. And, there was probably some other reasons as well, but we ended up rebuilding 98% of that camper."
Gosh.
Well, so many times these vintage trailers, nobody ever minds the seals, and there's water damage that's all in the structure and stuff. So a lot, I've seen so many times where people, peel off the aluminum siding, and it's like, oh.
It's funny that you should say that, because that's what I'm doing right now with this vintage camper that I'm working on. And we've got like 3 videos that we just posted in the last week. That's me taking the railing off, prying out the staples, and then opening up the siding to see what's underneath. That's exactly what I've been working on for the last week.
Wow.
Yep. Fun. Time to break out the Eternabond when you're going back together.
Right, yeah.
That, and what is that, butyl tape? Oh my God, a butyl putty.
Oh, yes. Man. And thank goodness it's been hot here, because when I took the railings off, the butyl tape scraped right off.
Oh, that
never happens. I was like, it must be boiling out here, because that was way too easy.
I tried to put some on a refrigerator vent in like this blazing hot day, and it's like, why am I doing this? I've learned to refrigerate it now. So anyway,
it's a pain in the butt. To be honest. Yes.
And would you say that a custom renovation, how would you think it affects the value of an RV?
There's always going to be people that go off the Kelley Blue Book or, whatever RV Trader says or whatnot. To me, that's not why my clients are coming to me. They're not coming for resale value. Hopefully, they can resell it for at least what they've put into it once it leaves me. I hope it's magazine worthy enough that somebody goes, yeah, I'll pay $60,000 for that 2003 camper or whatever it may be. But that's one of the things. It's like, I've never done a flip. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And honestly, I'd have complete creative freedom with that. But then you have to find that exact client that wants everything that you've put into it. And I'm one of those people, when I walk into a home, when I walk into anything, there's immediately 5 things I would change, right?
Sure.
So that's what I like about doing it custom for these clients. And when they're coming to me either going full time. So they're not thinking about resale value. They're thinking, okay, I'm going to be living in this thing. It's going to pay for itself in 3 to 5 years, and I have no mortgage and I have very little overhead and expenses. Let's make it perfect for me. Let's make it functional. Let's make sure that we're comfortable and happy living in this camper. And that's, what's more important than that when you're going to be living in a camper? So to me, that's really more important. I mean, that's my story. I bought my camper for $7,500. I probably put $25,000 worth of materials, not counting my labor, into it, but I have kind of expensive taste. So, I could have done it cheaper. I could have done it a lot cheaper, but it's paid for. And it was paid for basically the first year that I had it before I even moved into it. So now my only cost of living is travel and, my shop and, our annual spot at the campground, which ends up being about $500 a month. So I don't really know how you can beat that.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
you know how to do all the repairs in the camper, and if something happens at the campground, it's like, hey, can you fix that?
Yeah, or I just drag it over here to the shop, and then we just work on it,
So any other things you want to share with our audience from your experience renovating so many campers?
I mean, other than, give me a call when you get tired of painting. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, feel free to take a look at my website, as you guys have, between the media page where I've written for other blogs, DIY RV being one of them, and then my own. I do offer a lot of helpful tips and tricks if you're interested in doing your own. And I do offer consulting services if you need help with some custom built furniture or just some guidance. I mean, I've helped come up with ideas for functional needs where somebody said, hey, we really need a place to store our essential oils and we can't figure that out. Okay. Tell me what you got. Like, show me your space and I'll figure something out. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think, my clientele is going to be mostly full-timers or mobile businesses, and then some recreational use as well. It's just going to be a matter of how much do you love your camper, how much time do you spend in your camper, and how important is it to you for it to be not only a happy place, but a functional space for you to travel in.
Right. Man,
that sounds good. And again, let me commend you. You have probably the best website I've seen in this space. It's
thank you
really
very much.
Exceptional in so many ways. So
I appreciate
and the designs are nice too, obviously.
And for
I mean that's kind of the core of all this.
Yeah.
Well, the website looks nice because of the photos and whatnot. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean the appearance is there, but the information you share is really outstanding. So
thank you. User friendly is very important to me because I get fed up real quick if I go to a website and it's not like ding ding ding. Like just be user friendly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alice, tell us how people can find you, and we will also put these things in our show notes. But the people who aren't driving can write this down.
Right. Obviously my website that we've discussed quite a bit. And then everything that I have social wise is linked on that website. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. I'm sorry. I'm not on Twitter. Take that back. I'm on YouTube. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of the above. And I do share a lot of the work in progress, not just the before and afters, not just the results, but even this week I was doing, cutting out a panel for the exterior of the vintage camper I'm working on and showing people how to make a pattern and just cut it out, and install it. So I do share some kind of helpful hints there, guides through videos, and you can find me on almost everything.
And that website is Rain2Shine Ventures, and with the number 2, not T-O.
Yes.
Right? Rain2ShineVentures.com. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, super. Thank you so much for finding us and for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
We look forward to sharing what you've done with our audience.
Yep.
I appreciate it. I hope they like it. I hope it's good content for you.
I can't imagine that they wouldn't. I mean, you really do some first class work. I'm very impressed.
So. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Well, it's right after Labor Day, and some friends of ours were in Key West for the 1-year anniversary of Jimmy Buffett's passing.
Yeah.
And the pictures were so incredible. And it reminds me that Jimmy Buffett's 8th deadly sin.
That's right. He's got a song called Bank of Bad Habits, and he says the 8th deadly sin is
pizza.
However, it can be done without feeling so sinful. And the way that we do that is to make a crust of chicken and cheese. So this is going to sound very maybe high calorie or high fat or something. And, we're not keto. We don't follow keto by any means, but we do try to stay low carb. And so one of the ways that we stay low carb and still get pizza is that I make a crust out of ground chicken and cheese.
And it might sound weird, but by gosh, it is good.
It's really good.
It's very much, it tastes like pizza.
Right. Isn't pizza about the flavor? I mean, yes, pizza is something you can pick up, and that's kind of important to me. And I haven't perfected that crust that I can pick up. It's still a fork pizza, but it's very delicious, and we can top it with anything we want. So basically you make a crust out of chicken and cheese, and I use the air fry it for a while. Now, next time I do it, I'm going to try after I air fry it, because it's on parchment paper, so that bottom isn't getting as crispy. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to put the toppings on the part that was touching the paper. And maybe then I'll have the bottom crust is so crispy that I'll be able to pick up my pizza. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. But the
in
flavor
the meantime,
is there.
in the meantime, we've got the flavor, we've got the low carb, we've got, you can put any toppings you want, any cheese, any veggies, any other meats, but we usually, it's made out of chicken. So any sauces. I have been having trouble the past couple of years with tomato-based things. So white sauce, creamy sauce. Now, I did use a red sauce this time. But
you made that Alfredo sauce the other day.
I made Alfredo sauce the other day. That's a recipe for later.
Good.
And so you can really play with it. And chicken is so, kind of mild.
Hey, it tastes like chicken.
It tastes like chicken. But it's kind of a mild flavor that pairs well with a lot of things. So,
you know what would be good is pears on pizza. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll try that.
The Lake County pizza.
That's
pears
right.
And walnuts.
Pear and walnut pizza. Anyway, the recipe for the chicken crust pizza is on our website. There, of course, will be a link there.
Back in the show notes.
In the show notes. And I hope that you try it if you want to. But if you're not low carb, then by all means, eat your pizza.
Well, here's the thing. So let's say you have the typical RV, which has that lousy small 17-inch oven that you mostly cannot cook anything in except pizza. So let's say, all right, it's, like the second night of camp, and you bust out the can of chicken that they sell at Costco.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it.
Mix in some, I ate the recipe, but I didn't look at the recipe. So you mix in the ingredients, all of which can be stored dry except for the cheese, right?
Pretty much.
So now it's all things you can bring with you. You can cook it in that 17-inch RV oven, and it is a camping recipe in that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So
we use the air fry at home because as we have told you before, we don't have an oven in our house. So we have the convection oven.
Microwave.
Right. We have the convection microwave, so I could use that. But the air fryer happened to be sitting on the counter, so that's what I use. Maybe next time I'll try it in the convection oven.
People are listening going, wait, you don't have an oven? Folks, we're weird.
We're weird. We do actually have one. It's just
it's
in the garage.
In the storage garage.
So anyway, you can, and also you could put this in a cast iron. That's what I really should have done. Put it in cast iron, but maybe I'll do that when we are camping and I have a gas oven that I can use cast iron in, because I don't know if I can do that with the convection oven. I haven't tried. Anyway, so check it out if you're interested in a low carb, delicious pizza, and tell us what you think.
So I am looking at from our RV gadget of the week.
Yeah.
Have you ever, you're in your RV and you look out, you hear a noise outside. What is that noise outside? And you wonder, should I go outside and see if it's, as Josh says, a gas station murder hobo or a bear or raccoons or whatnot?
Or the wind.
Or the wind or whatnot. Well, we got a game camera.
Yeah.
And it's solar powered and it has a battery. And
it has Wi-Fi.
And it has Wi-Fi. And we thought, wouldn't it be cool because, okay, on our back porch, something
It's so
is
funny.
depositing all these
Pine cones.
pine cones.
Like every morning, like every day, Tony can sweep off or blow all the pine cones off of the porch. And in the morning, there's a stash of pine cones. We don't know if it's birds. We don't know if it's little rodents of some sort. We don't know what's doing it. And I have been just itching to find out. So I said, you know what? We can make great use out of a night vision, what's it called?
Game camera?
Motion detection game camera. So we got one, and we're
stuck
playing
it on
with
the
it.
back porch.
Stuck it
But
on
we
the back
thought,
porch.
wouldn't this be cool to hang outside your RV?
Right.
Because it has like a strap that you can put around a tree or your bumper or whatever's convenient, and you can see what's going on outside your RV without having to look out the window.
Right.
And it can capture video too. So if it's like, look, there's deer that came to the campsite or
Then
whatever.
it's fun to watch.
It's kind of fun to watch. So
Or if it's a bear, then you know not to open the door.
don't open the door. Or a gas station murder
Or
hobo.
a gas station murder hobo.
So anyway, it's a solution for, hey, I want to see what's going on outside my camper without going on outside my camper.
Right.
We'll put a link to where we bought it on Amazon in our show notes.
In the show notes. Show notes, show notes, show notes.
Show notes.
Last week, I asked this question of the week.
Yeah, boy.
How do you deal with misbehaving campers?
Well, here's the good news. There weren't a whole lot of
There
responses.
were not a whole lot of responses. Now, I don't know if it's because you guys do illegal things and don't want to tell us about it. Just kidding. I hope. But anyway, I have seen this conversation a bunch of times in a bunch of forums or Facebook discussions or whatever. And so I've seen answers everywhere from, you got wheels, go away, leave. Now, if you're in some kind of seasonal situation, that probably won't work. Ignore them. To a certain extent, I will ignore. I'm way more tolerant, and it's not that I'm tolerant. I'm just so anti-confrontational that I will ignore as long as I can. Maybe speak to the camp host. And, maybe be a tattletale, but then let them be the bad guy who goes and tells those people that they need to put their dog on a leash, or they need to clean up after themselves, or they need to turn the music down, or it's after dark night noise hours, or whatever, right?
Or generator hours stop
Generator
at 10.
hours. Some people suggest various degrees of revenge. For example,
Boy.
if someone's up partying too late, you might get up and start your generator super early. Again, if that's allowed. I don't know. Very passive aggressive. Not really my style, but it happens. What else? Also, politely speaking to these neighbors that are causing you trouble. Now, here's the sticky part about that, in my opinion. You might go next door and say, hey, neighbor, I hope you're having a good time camping. Your music was up very loud and I had a hard time sleeping last night. And your neighbor might say, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I did not realize it was that loud. I will be better. Or your neighbor might look at you and say, beep, beep you. And then if they're that kind of person, then they're angry at you and then they're going to get worse. And you never know, right? You never know what's going to happen if you confront them, even if you're as sweet as pie.
The good thing is we're camping and people tend to be pretty cool because they're on vacation.
Well,
That's
right.
been our experience. We have had some people, I'll weigh in on the topic, on the forum, so that's your incentive to go and look at it and participate. It's a Facebook group, so it's the StressLess Campers Facebook group. But we've had some interesting interactions with people, particularly at the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta.
Anyway, I just hope that you, when you're out there and what you said about vacations, some people only get 3 times a year to go out and
If even.
let loose. And so sometimes letting loose is different for some people want to go and quietly read a book. Some people want to go and party and get all that out, right? And so, everybody has to kind of work together. Anyway, I hope that you don't have too many problems ever when you're in your travels or when you're camping. I hope this is not something that you have to deal with, and you'll never have an answer to this question.
Some people got to cut loose, foot loose, kick off their Sunday shoes.
Oh, geez. Okay, well, for this week, our question is, will you be snowbirding this year? I almost said snowboarding.
Well,
because honestly, every time I wrote it on the notes, it auto-corrected to snowboarding. So, okay, will you be snowbirding or snowboarding?
Yeah, right.
Are you going to stay where it's cold, or are you going to go somewhere that it's warm? Are you able to travel and get away from the cold? Or maybe you live somewhere that you don't have to? But that is our question for this week.
Yeah, as Jimmy Buffett said, I want to go where it's warm, where the weather suits my clothes.
I want to go where the weather suits my clothes.
Yep. Well, you can answer that question or ask your own at the Stressless Campers Facebook group.
That's right. And you can also have our free weekly newsletter by signing up on any page of the website. And by the way, if you have already responded from last week saying that you wanted to win the
TST tire pressure monitor.
TST tire pressure monitor, you will. We're not going to say it because it's not Wednesday at 3, and that's when we're going to
we'll do
draw a name.
We're recording this on Tuesday.
Right. And so if you did respond and you want to know if you won, make sure you read the newsletter this week.
Yeah, there's been a lot of responses, so thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So anyway, the way to sign up for our newsletters, visit any page on our home on the web at StressLessCamping.com. And at the bottom of all the pages is a newsletter sign-up form. Know that we only send one email per week, period. And we try to have links to information and things that will help you, including our own stuff, but some other people's stuff too.
Yeah, sometimes we see stories or videos or podcasts that we think are very helpful that we haven't covered, and so we share those as well.
Like Josh's industry update.
That's right.
And where will I find these show notes for this episode that we've been babbling on about?
You have said show notes so many times, and this is episode 271, and you can go to the podcast page and look for episode number 271, and on that page will be the show notes with links to all these things that we've been talking about.
Well, don't forget, we've got some great discounts and deals on the best deals at things you'll need for your stressless camping RV adventure. And if you've got a great deal for our audience, let us know. We put things there that we like, that we use, and we're always happy to offer a discount, like the RV Life that we had mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
That we have a discount for RV Life and an extended trial period. So things like that are pretty awesome.
And of course, we're in all those social places.
Ooh, yeah.
So if you start at StressLessCamping.com, you can jump off to all the places. I quit trying to name them because they change their names and I get confused.
We waste so much time together.
Oh, please. And if you don't want to miss a future episode of the Stressless Camping Podcast,
it's free.
It's free to subscribe on any podcast catcher, and we are saving you a seat around our virtual campfire.
Yep. Oh, hey, and a review will help others find this podcast, and that means more listeners, more new listeners, and that means we can continue to get really great discounts. We did get a review this week that was a 4-star review, not 5-star. But that review said that it's difficult to hear you talking over the music. And we don't put music throughout the whole podcast, but we do have it at the beginning and end. So we'll definitely look. We appreciate the input.
Absolutely.
Very, very much. And thank you for taking your time to share. And we will actually look at that and see how we can make it better. So
yes.
Thank you.
And if you have already written a review and you still want to help, another great way to help us is by sharing content. You can share from our Facebook post, you can share from our website, and if you're not sure how to do that, we have a page on our website that tells you how.
Specific page
and
on
it
how to
will
share.
Explain how to share posts. Sometimes it's as easy as copy the link and paste it into Facebook or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
Or an email and tell everyone you know.
Well, it's good because we try to have vetted information.
Yeah.
And so if there's a question that you're seeing a lot in a Facebook group and you're like, well, what is the actual answer? You can often find it at StressLessCamping.com and share it from there. And then it's like, oh, here's the actual information on this, because we try to get our information from vetted, reliable sources.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that's us, but more often it's people who actually know what they talk about. So with that, we really appreciate you being here again, 271 times.
Yeah.
My word. So thank you so much. And it's after some of the schools start, the weather is perfect. So we hope that you are enjoying some
Stressless camping.